An adventure is only as good as its villain. There is a reason that Curse of Strahd is seen as one of the best D&D adventures of all time. Strahd was a complex and compelling character that made his presence known throughout the adventure. But creating engaging villains is really tough. I think we often fall into classic stereotypes. How many villains can just be traced directly back to the Joker, or Lex Luthor, or Darth Vader? So having a compendium of well-designed and well-written bad guys can be a valuable resource for your games. Today we are looking at the Big Bads box set from our sponsor Hit Point Press, which features an array of 31 big bads to build your 5e stories around. They range in CR from 1 to 30 and include everything from aberrations to dragons and fiends, undead, constructs, celestials, and of course my beloved Ooze King Blurk, plus a ton of supporting material to help you build out your campaigns. The box set also includes Creatures and Curios, which is a book of 100 monsters and 100 magic items. So let's do a deep dive into the Big Bads box set. Our box set includes the fully illustrated 373-page Big Book of Big Bads, the 258-page Creatures and Curios book, a Big Bads Game Master screen, and 4 double-sided battle maps. Let's start off with the titular star of the show, the Big Book of Big Bads. The majority of the book centers around our Big Bads. It compiles 25 of the baddies from their old series of Big Bad booklets, plus 6 brand new ones. Here is the full list from the table of contents. And while each Big Bad features slightly different material, let's go through one as an example. And I'm actually going to just jump into the very first entry, so we're going to go into some spoiler territory here. Acadia appears to be a spellcasting show-off with a unique twist to the mirror image spell. Hers creates duplicates that can move, speak, and cast spells independently. A magical prodigy pulling off elaborate heists for mysterious reasons. But it's all a con. The book reveals that Acadia isn't one mage at all, but 3 identical triplet sisters, Abadel, Maribel, and Rosabelle, performing a long con on the world. While one sister casts mirror image, the other 2 drop invisibility and join the fray. Their goal? Assemble the Shattered Horned Giant, a ruined storm giant statue that legend claims can cure their aging mother's mind. Unfortunately, it is actually a dormant infernal construct that was dismantled for good reason, a twist I'm sure no one saw coming. We get this nice summary page at the start to see at a glance if this villain is right for our table. We can see that Acadia is built for parties at levels 9 through 11. The stat block provided represents a single sister of CR 9. When all 3 appear, the encounter tips into CR 11 territory. They cast in tandem using readied actions, drop invisibility mid-fight to mirror image, and vanish with greater invisibility or a clever use of escape items when threatened. Included in Acadia's entry is a wealth of material to support a memorable villain arc. You get a detailed backstory filled with those emotional stakes and long-term goals, grounding the triplets' crime spree in a desperate and very human motivation, saving their mother. The book provides role-playing guidance for each sister, with notes on how their personalities subtly influence their shared performance as Acadia, whether it's Abadel's strategic focus, Maribel's studious demeanor, or Rosabelle's theatrical flair. Several adventure hooks are included to help drop Acadia into your ongoing campaign, perhaps a stolen relic from a private collector, a mid-air cathedral heist the party witnesses firsthand, or a bitter rival illusionist offering a bounty to uncover Acadia's secrets. Her lair is detailed as a magical museum mansion packed with stolen artifacts and enhanced by flavorful lair actions like magic mouth traps and anti-magic fields that follow their targets and trapdoors that drop intruders into magical pits. She's also outfitted with custom magic items that reinforce her illusionist thief identity. The clear glass pendant lets a wounded triplet vanish for a stealthy retreat. The magician's cape hides magical auras from detection. And the ring of glibness gives her a verbal edge when the con starts to crack. A full stat block is included with prepared spells, magic resistance, and a once per day spell reflection ability, plus mechanics for their coordinated casting to sell that mirror image illusion. And here's what makes the Big Book of Big Bads more than just a bestiary. Acadia's storyline offers a natural on-ramp to a broader campaign by linking her to other Big Bads in the book, most notably the Horned Giant itself, which has its own chapter. The book gives you all the narrative building blocks to turn Acadia's high story into a multi-villain epic, one where the party slowly realizes they've been racing not just a trio of clever illusionists, but a network of ambitious powers converging on a long-buried threat. As the triplets gather more relics, the party might cross paths with other villains who possess or seek the same pieces, and it can all culminate in an epic, very high-level encounter. The book lays out the Acadia story in 6 different acts, making use of different big bads and bringing their stories together. For each act, you get the starting level, the scenario, the adversaries I might encounter, and conclusions which can branch the story. The Acadia chapter itself is about 10 pages long and fully illustrated. And that is all just one of the 31 big bads in this book. You get the outlines of 4 different campaigns that bring together thematically appropriate big bads into fully fledged out stories. So you have quite a few separate stories that you can tell using the baddies in this book. Now, a couple of things that I really do want you to know. First of all, if you are on the fence about this book, Hit Point Press offers a number of the big bads for free on their website as PDFs. So you can read through them on your own to see if they're right for you. The link is right up there in the corner to find it, or in the doohickey down below. When you get to the site, if you want to find the free ones, because they're not really labeled that way, just search for 0.00, that's the price, on that webpage, and you will find those freebies. They're kind of scattered around in there. Okay. And 2, I think it's important to emphasize that these are not quite written like your typical 5e hardcover book like Dungeon of the Mad Mage or Rime of the Frost Maiden. You don't get fully fleshed out adventures, fully written, that go room by room, telling you exactly what to do. You have to bring some planning and storytelling to this. The book supplies the ingredients, and you have to turn them into a meal. The other great thing about the book is that each monster brings its own tone to your storytelling, from absurdist comedy to body horror, and sometimes both. There's Daniel, a tragically affectionate flesh golem who hugs people to death in the name of joy. There's Carsus, a tyrannical sentient tree infected with a mind-rotting fungus and lashing out of the world. Exaxia, the Thorn Witch, a necromancer turned plant abomination seeking eternal life. Gollythank, a gnomish artificer who unleashes dangerous, faulty clockwork toys onto an unsuspecting town. The Prince in Ivory, a former boggart who ascended to Arcface status, who became obsessed with collecting teeth. Shen, a playful, shape-shifting aquatic dragon who, in her clam, carp, and dragon forms, uses elaborate illusions and secret networks of sea creatures to protect her precious eggs. Zara Harlow, who orchestrates a double life as both the respected chief of the guard and the elusive master of the Thieves Guild. The Maker, an artificer whose consciousness was transferred into an intelligent sword. Speckleback, a massive, unintelligent, and belligerent frog who has grown to an enormous size by continually consuming her own magically fertilized eggs. And the Melcombe, an enchanted vessel whose crew consists of thousands of rats linked by a shared psychic intellect. And that is just 10 of the 31. And the book has one additional chapter I haven't told you about. The Big Bad Bureau is a multiverse-spanning organization acting as a narrative framework that connects all the villains in the book under one strange, secretive umbrella. It's kind of like the TVA from Loki. Part cosmic HR department, part containment agency, the BBB catalogs and monitors persons of extreme interest, the big bads. And they can serve as a quest giver, a morally gray employer, or even a sinister antagonist in your campaign. The chapter includes lore and sample agents and plot hooks, there's new backgrounds and magic items, and tools for the GM to link the villains into that larger story arc. Whether you want to tie together multiple adventures or justify sudden villain appearances or launch a multiverse hopping campaign, the Big Bad Bureau gives you a stylish, tongue-in-cheek way to keep that chaos connected. Inside the box set, we also get these battle maps, which feature the layers of various big bads. Each map is 11 by 17 inches and is printed on paper stock with a silken finish. You get 3 maps detailing the various levels of the Melcombe, which is a ship, a lair, and a big bad all in one. I'm going to let you explore that one. We get Shen's watery domain. We also get a map of the inside of the Hydrail, which is a garden snail that had one very weird day. We also get the Ooze King Blurk's cellar, yay. We get Gollythang's workshop, and we get Gix's ossuary. These maps should make developing your adventures a lot easier. I kind of wish we had maps for all the big bads in the book, but we got what we got. Now let's take a quick look at our GM screen. It's a bit on the smaller side with a slightly smaller font size. I definitely needed my glasses to read it, but that's true with almost everything these days. It includes your basic 5e condition information, the various roles at the Bureau if you decide to use that framework, the field agent ranks, and that's all really just for flavor. There's no real gameplay mechanics there. And then you get your list of your big bads in alphabetical order and how to pronounce their names, the type of creature they are, and their CR. Ultimately, for me, this information is more useful during my campaign prep than maybe like things that I need in an individual session, but it is nice to have the option if I do plan to run a big bads themed campaign, so your mileage may vary. Now let's move on to the other book in the set, Creatures and Curios. This book compiles 100 monsters and 100 magic items from Hit Point Press's history. Now there are a lot of books like this out there, and what makes this one stand out is the quality. I know I'm biased, but I have seen a lot of books like this, and this one stands out. Let's just flip through the monster half here first. Pretty much each creature gets a full-page piece of art, and some of them get a 2-page spread. As far as the nitty-gritty goes, each monster gets a full stat block using the 2014 rules, as everything else here does, and they each get about 200 words of lore and supporting information to help you fit the monsters into the context of your story. If you've been collecting Hit Point Press cards and books over the years, you're probably going to recognize some of these. The most dangerous creature included is the CR24 Scythian Elder, an otherworldly horror known as the Harvester of the Damned. The lowest CR creature is the Sleep, a colorful magical sheep that tends to lull people into an unnatural sleep. So yes, they run the gamut from serious challenges for your party to a couple of joke monsters. The appendices give you some tables that organize the creatures by type and challenge rating. I would have liked one that maybe organized them by setting, like where you're likely to find these creatures, but again, the ones that we do get are pretty helpful. The next section gives us our magical items. Once again, each one gets art, and they range from silly to deadly. Let me share just a couple that caught my eye. The Kind Fortunes bag is filled with essentially fortune cookie fortunes, 10 of them to be precise. Each one can be drawn only once. For example, you might get one saying, "Don't give up," which keeps you conscious if you fall to 0 hit points. The Hand of Failure is another one. It's a cursed magical relic made from a severed, waxed priest's hand. Each of its 5 fingers can be lit like a candle to grant powerful but temporary magical effects, like invisibility, incorporeality, or even a one-time wish spell if all are lit at once. However, of course, attuning to the hand curses you, imposing severe penalties to your wisdom and healing, and once all the fingers are used, your own hand turns to wax, which is an irreversible transformation without divine intervention. Okay, now I want to share with you my personal favorite part of the book, and I know I'm probably the only one to think this, but the appendices in the back are so helpful. They organize the items into basically rollable loot tables. There's a loot table for items that you might find in a dragon's hoard, and here's some that you might find in a potion store, and some in a fancy boutique in a big city, and here are some you might find in a shady market stall. You get quite a few of these tables. I like these kind of things because they really help you bring these items into your game in an organic way. Creatures and Curios isn't really tied to the Big Bads book in any major way, but it's a great little book that any game master should be able to get some use out of. I don't think I've seen such an eclectic collection in one volume as this book offers. Between these two books, you get a wealth of campaign building components. It's kind of like getting 31 epic encounter booklets together in one gorgeous little hardcover book. And the books themselves are just really nice. The box set that you see here is normally $120, but it is currently on sale for $99.99 at the link in the corner or down below. You can also pick up the Book of Big Bads or the Creatures and Curios book separately for between $50 and $60 each, or you can get them individually as PDFs for $30 each, or $50 for both. We all know by now that Hit Point Press always gives us loads of options when it comes to supporting material. You can visit the links below to see everything, but you can get things like the STL packages to print minis of the Big Bads if you have a 3D printer at home. There's also a soundtrack that you can get digitally or even on vinyl. You've been hearing some of those songs here in this video. Hell, if you just want one particular Big Bad booklet, you can still get their individual ones digitally for $3 a pop. And don't forget that they have quite a few for free too. So let me know what you think about it all in the comment section down below. I've been a big fan of the Big Bad series since the beginning, and I have, I think, all of them on my shelf over there, including the reference cards that used to come with. I wish they were still doing the monthly releases because those were great little treats to look forward to, but I am glad they are still living on in book format. And this isn't all the Big Bads. I'm expecting to hear more about the Big Book of Big Bads Volume 2 sometime in the near future, so be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything. That's it for me today. Thank you for watching, and for now, please stay safe, have fun, love each other, and I will see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.